Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So last time we played Cactus Canyon, which was a Western themed pinball table that was way too late. Now we're going to play, I believe, the
I would
Champion
break your
Pub,
puny body in two.
which, oh yeah, I just saw this table in kind of a boxing themed pinball table, which is an interesting idea. I love the rhythm puzzleality of Punch Out, NES Punch Out. I really haven't played much of the, or if any of the arcade Punch Out version, but honestly, that's not really much of even a boxing game. It's more of a rhythm game and a puzzle game. Um, we've seen Last Action Hero and Terminator 2, so several movie themed tables have been somewhat violent. So I imagine boxing wouldn't be too offensive. Although, arguably, in 1998, this is yet another table that seems to be made by somebody who is old and nostalgic for the heyday of boxing, which would be in like the 20s, 30s, 40s. Boxing in 1998, still popular, I'm sure, but this is hardly its heyday. But this is also the point where we're seeing the end, really, of pinball, so they may have not been able to license anything else. Uh, and we'll have to see some elements here because like you would think this would be like Rumble in the Jungle themed or themed after a specific famous boxer, although the danger in having any video game licensed off a famous boxer was kind of highlighted in Punch Out and in the fact that there was enough controversy around um, the main character on Punch Out with what was his name? Mike Tyson? Yeah, but I believe it was Mike Tyson. So, like the original run of Punch Out had Mike Tyson as the bad guy. There was enough controversy around Mike Tyson, and this was controversy before he bit the ear of someone else's another boxer clean off. Uh, but so then by the second run, the main bad guy was just Mr. Dream, and so yeah, that there's really no reason to idolize celebrity sports figures. If anything, I imagine the years of NBA and NFL characters has succeeded way more than it should have, considering how often those characters reveal a character flaw or cause some controversy. Anyways, back to the Champion Pub. 1998. Here's the Champion Pub. It feels like it should be the Champions Pub. An exciting, diverse table. It features a punching bag that rotates 180 degrees to reveal an irate boxer ready to rumble, and you're ready with ramps leading to your body blow punches and whack the boxer directly in the face. There is a mini playfield where the ball is launched at a speed bag where you can use the flippers as your own plastic fists. There's even a jump rope where players can jump the rope using the button controlled switch. I'm O'Brien, and these are my knuckles. Approximately 1,369 units of this table were produced. Not a lot of uh, development there. Alright, so let's look at the back arch to start with. This is invoking the era of bare knuckle boxing. Now, thematically, if you're doing boxing, the question is, will this theme feel like it needed to be in that era in which, like, Irish, who at the time and even to a few racist peoples even today are not considered white, um, would be fighting each other, and other immigrants would be fighting each other. But notice that there is no African or dark skinned people at all depicted here. The girls in the background are in shadow, so but I assume they're white too. This lady is white. Not showing a lot of cleavage, but in kind of that 1920s type dress. So the question really will come down to, did this need to be set in that time frame, or could this have been a Mike Tyson type character game? Remember that I'm not just pulling out the kind of obvious racism that has existed in the history of pinball tables. There's literally been only one pinball table in this curation before that has shown an African American character, and that was the baseball player Big Hurt table. Everything else has been noticeably missing, and we just played the Coral Canyon game, which had terrible coverage of terrible depictions of Mexican banditos. So maybe there is an argument that maybe they should just make all their characters white guys, because they don't have the ability to accurately depict or fairly depict someone without falling directly different races without falling into horrible stereotypes. That might be the case. And at a certain point, if you can't properly represent someone, and the higher ups won't let you hire or hire someone to properly represent a race, then you might as well just not represent that race at all. That's a shame, certainly. So you've got your flippers being the fist. I don't particularly like that light. You have a whole bunch of lights as life bars, which is interesting. You have a barmaid here, blonde, a barmaid here, brunette. I suspect these are going to be just token characters without any female voice acting. I suspect the voice acting in this game might be particularly annoying anyways, because it may just be a lot of oofs and ahs. It seems like there's an out lane over here that will launch you back to the launcher, but the launcher itself seems to shoot you upward into a ramp and into the loop over here on the left, and that seems like that might be a ramp that goes down later for you to get to that shot. And then there's a sinkhole. We haven't seen a lot of tables with sinkholes lately. Standing targets. Is there a kickback or center peg? Doesn't seem to be it. Yeah, there's a ramp over here, so some kind of combo to shoot to the left and shoot to the right from the looks of it. It also kind of feels like these left hook and right hook ramps are something that would pop up, but I don't think they do. I think they're just curved in such a way so that the ball won't lose momentum and go back downward. But oddly, it might lose momentum and go towards the center body blow and then drain directly to the center. But notice that if you follow the line towards that center, it's actually hitting this flipper. So the flipper and the table itself is a little wonky, I suppose, a little off center. That might be a good thing, though. We've seen it in other tables where it was pretty badly off center. There's a loop up here that loops around this way, and then to this, and then to the in lane where the switch is. I don't know what that curved piece of metal under there is for. That seems kind of weird. But whatever, we'll see how that plays. Seems like we've got our standard shots. Most pinball tables, I've heard, they're supposed to have 7 standard shots. And when you do this kind of fan description, this fan layouts, you almost certainly are going to have at least 7 main shots. The main gimmick here is to hit a body bag, which I assume that that probably was a rubberized toy of some sort or just a hard piece of plastic. Like, I imagine it's not really just sackcloth and that you hit it. It'd have to have some kind of sensor in it, obviously, taking up the vast majority of its insides, because then also the mechanics there of this spinning fighter guy, which this is really taking the head of like Chuck in Funhouse and taking it to the next level by having a full-on boxer character. But then you also are taking up a massive amount of space on the table because of this. This is almost as big as the ultra-wide Dead World in Judge Dredd, but with the extra issue here of this not being an ultra-wide table. This does look better than the Dead World element. It seems to me there's got to be a way to get the ball over to this area back here where the jump rope is, and that's just going to spin, and then there's going to be, I imagine, a plunger under it that plunges the ball upward. But how the ball gets up there, I have no idea. It doesn't seem likely that it would ever land there. We have yet to see a scenario where there was an element on the table that just never was used. Although I imagine, particularly for like new Stern tables these days, there are features that just have to be programmed in later. Most noticeably, I suppose, is the ultraviolet reactive paint on the Stranger Things pinball table. They announced that paint had been on the tables from the beginning, but then you would have to pay to get a light kit to make it react or to get some kind of upgrade, acting as something very dangerously close to actual DLC on a physical pinball table. Yeah, I have no idea how you get the ball up there. Unlike Shrek / South Park, is it? No, it's not South Park. I'm thinking of Family Guy. Unlike the Shrek that is reskinned sometimes to Family Guy table, the upper playfield is still using just regular pinballs. So this is closer to the upper playfield on Twilight Zone. Alright, well. It's got basically one big gimmick. And so that's the thing to focus on. We need to hear the audio. We need to see the animations. We need to see if the theme of having the Irish redheaded guy be the guy you're fighting makes sense. Let's see. Flyer looks fine. Not going crazy anywhere. Our standard goals are earn the training complete jewel, score a jab combo, win a fight, earn an extra ball, complete the spinning gallery. Now what I would expect here is that you would have a hold to launch for a skill shot. I would expect you would have a collection of enemies. Alright, well, immediately with this music, I think the music may get very annoying very quickly. Way too easy to get a jackpot. 6 health. So it seems like the ball will wrap around The back side there.
And now, Dan Under voices the kid.
So they're gonna name all these kids.
Kid, you won't feel a thing for a week.
Like, I don't think that there's a well thought out there idea, because every shot you hit is pretty much going to lose momentum, and it's going to end the game flow as you shoot upwards.
Ow, lucky punch. Get back in there, kid.
I have no idea what I'm even trying to aim for.
You're a salt to the koala.
It seems like it's just kind of flipping all of those. And there's a pop-up ball saver in the center instead of like a center peg. We've seen that, I think, on one other table.
You'll have to fight better than that to bite me.
So apparently I was knocked out and I lost because of that. Hold launch button for a skill shot. I don't know how you would hold the launch button. Yeah, there's just kind of nowhere to aim on this table. You go up that center shot, and then the ball hits the target, loses momentum, and then drains back down the center. It's kind of the worst case of it, of seeing something like that we've seen so far.
One more, and it's multi-brawl.
Multi-brawl.
Multi-brawl!
And it's saying purse as in the amount you would win for the fight. Not a handbag. The jackpot sound effect doesn't seem to really make a lot of sense. Have one short punch.
Get back in there, kid.
Okay, so I don't like the center lane shots. I don't like the music. I don't feel like the septuple super jackpot really plays into a rhythm that makes sense. So far, I'm not seeing a real reason why it needs to be in the past with Irish fighters and bare knuckle brawling. I'm just not seeing it. And in all fairness, I don't think it particularly puts the Irish in a good light either, to just say that they were only ever good for being fighters and playing up stereotypes of Irish people being violent. Button. Although I guess, in all fairness, a boxer-themed table would do that with any character. So that may not be the fairest of arguments. These feel like the standard weak Williams flippers that we've seen in so many other tables. I'm gonna launch, and then I'm gonna hold this, and then... Nope. And see, when you think about like Junkyard, which this would be a comparison to that, I suppose, it would be...
I'm your coach, kid, so you better listen up. Flip, kid, flip.
Okay. This does look like this is easier to do than the Twilight Zone one. Yeah, I feel like if you had a pinball that was just hanging like a speed bag and you hit it and then it just swung out of the way, there might be a better return on that design instead of having a giant figure.
Voices the kid. I will destroy you, you infidel.
Now, in all fairness, I did say I love Punch-Out, but Punch-Out also is full of a lot of stereotypical characters, and that's in part why the newest Punch-Out games have become a little bit more watered down, and some of the characters have kind of disappeared. And I can't say I'm 100% against the idea of the comedic stereotypical character. Particularly in the case of Punch-Out, when you're swinging at everybody
Keep that ball away from me.
instead of one specific group. Or you're just being a generally offensive game anyways, like the Grand Theft Auto series that I want to fight kind of pulls that off too. You can see that this is an easy shot.
Flip, kid, flip. Faster. Again.
It seems like after a while it stops letting you jump up. I kind of like the outlane, the second outlane there. It is way too easy to get a jackpot on this table. And what's funny is, interesting, this is a video mode. This does not feel right at all. I may never be able to pull that off with the controllers. That seems awkward. And looping to the back, unlike Theater of Magic, doesn't seem to get you any kind of secret ball lock or anything. Extra ball is lit.
Get the extra ball. That's it.
it kind of feels like some of these shots are less than doable. Yeah, it's making a big deal about getting all of these jackpots, but they're actually not that high as far as like 1.3 million is not a lot. And then we got an extra ball, and that was like a train.
Be thankful this glass separates us. You are weak. Admit it.
Yeah, I feel like what you would want here is a way to represent multiple bad guys, not just a dummy, a single character representing multiple guys. So a dummy would be the right move, just a robot. And honestly, if you had gone with more of a sci-fi route here, then you're not fighting real people, and the violence is really dumbed down quite a bit at that point, and more kid-friendly. I guess you get to potentially just pick what you want there. Poker night. Okay.
Get back in there, kid.
Oh, I probably did that wrong. Probably got rid of cards that I should have held on to. Because that felt like I could have gotten 4 of a kind.
One more, and it's multi-brawl.
Yeah, just ignoring the theme completely, which, yeah, a sci-fi boxing theme I think would fix this quite a bit. The main problem is the shots and the angles and the scoring. I should be getting not jackpots, I should be getting something much smaller as a call out for these shots. It's like every shot leads to a jackpot.
Hurry up, kid. Whoa, not bad, kid.
Yeah, we've not really seen a reason for the ramps that seem to exist, other than they're just there, and sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. But it feels like what they wanted to do is really just have a body blow, left jab, right jab, left hook, right hook type boxing shots. And that's just not really going to work as a pinball layout. Let's see. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that. So one of the jewels has to be earned in order to activate Ultimate Challenge is training complete. To earn this jewel, you must complete 3 basic methods of training. These are heavy bag training, jump rope training, and speed bag training. Training is also important because it builds up your life balls, which are required to activate fights. To activate fights, you must earn a maximum of 12 life bars. Primary way to earn life is with training. You have to hit the heavy bag 9 times. Jump rope training. The left loop is lit for jump rope training to start on the game. Shoot the left loop, sends the ball to the jump rope. I'm not sure how it actually sends the ball. There must be a gate there. It starts ready, set, flip. Jump rope. Complete 6 jumps over the jump rope. To complete the jump rope chaining mode, you have to complete 6 jumps over the jump rope. Jumps are cumulative, so if you fail to complete 6, left loop remains lit for it. Okay. And and then speed bag training, we'll have to just skip to figure out where that is. It'd be nicer if there was just an index or a button that would pop up an index. Yeah, 31 minutes into this, I'm not particularly enthralled with this game. Deactivate fights, blah blah blah. To earn training, complete bell jewel. The ramp is lit at the start of the game. When it's lit, shooting the ramp diverts it into that. Okay. 5 seconds. Knock the ball into the speed back as many times as possible. Each hit is 20,010. That's 1/2. Hit it 6 times. So it's 6 times each time. And unless there is a pro tip here for spinning gallery. Nope. Always select the 2x purse on the skill shot. Hold the ball launcher button and release it when the 2x purse is highlighted on the display. This will double the purse value that's awarded when you win a fight.
Welcome to Champion Pub, kid.
So I'm holding the launch button. And it's not doing anything.
I'm your coach, kid, so pay attention.
So maybe I have to push it forward. I suppose in all fairness, it is also worth saying that I've never found another boxing game other than the Punch-Out series interesting. There haven't been a lot of great ones. There's been some VR ones that kind of make sense. See, I pushed it forward and held the forward button, but that too didn't do anything. What I need to do is to be able to hit the speed bag with the left one and then hit the other 2 targets with the right flipper.
Get back in there, kid.
And now, Armando Santiago.
And see, that was a sneak-in shot.
Destroy you, you infidel.
And in an average game, you're gonna see maybe 2 or 3 characters.
No, brother, he's winning.
Give it to him. Now you've got him.
Honor and strength will always triumph.
I don't even know what the deal with the walls is. You might as well not have them. It's not like you can't see that there's this big old statue in the background there. Maybe that just is protecting the toy. This is kind of a great example of why pinball in part was getting failing, is that it was, as it was getting more and more desperate, it was adding more and more toys and less pinball.
Welcome back, kid.
Suppose you're best suited to try that
Flip,
shot.
kid, flip.
Yeah, you gotta get it fairly early or it stops working. I've noticed that there's a cutoff on whether that switch works or not.
Flip, kid, flip.
So there's a sinkhole. What's funny is the flippers were disabled during that time too, and that's a really bad time for the flippers to be disabled. There's really no reason for that.
Hello to ya. I'm O'Brien, and these are me knuckles.
So it's okay to hit it forward.
I definitely felt that one.
Hit the knuckles and the punches and the fists that forward, but they didn't want you to potentially hit them from behind, because I guess maybe that would break them, or they were afraid it would break them.
It would seem your luck has just run out.
In a more modern day, that would be a hologram or projector screen or just a TV screen.
Flip, kid, flip.
So you have to get
That's it.
kind of down with the
Down those
speed.
flippers.
Then all of a sudden speeds up a lot.
Flip.
That was 4. I needed 6.
And now, Knuckles O'Brien voices the kid. Back again? I think you're making a mistake, son.
Yeah, I think you could have basically stolen the design from Junkyard, had a speed bag in the middle, and then had several standing targets around the edge. Doesn't seem like any of these characters are particularly susceptible to specific shots either. It kind of feels like you can just hit them with whatever.
Punch his jaw. Punch his face.
Like, it's telling you cutouts, but it seems like every body blow shot. It's interesting. I had 5,666,000 points, and you almost feel like other games have been actively programmed to not have numbers that end 666, but this one doesn't. You know, more than likely there is no programming like that in any pinball table. If anything, there's probably programming in some table to end the numbers like that.
Good to see you again, kid.
I'm your coach, kid, so pay attention. Keep training, kid.
So there's 2 shots you've just got to get really good at.
Flip, kid, flip. Keep training, kid. Flip, kid, flip.
Yeah, and you'd think that this would be way easier, but it's not happening. Alright. I think at this point, you're now kind of locked in a mode where you want to start a fight. And I'm not sure that the heavy bag hits are counting. And that's 10th ranked people, so theoretically you're supposed to fight 10 people here then without dying in 3 balls or less.
Your dockyard. Thanks. I had an itch. Ah,
Give it to him.
Almost lost the ball, even with the ball saver enabled.
that's a knuckle sandwich.
Like, they really don't want the fight to end through a drain, at least not early
Didn't
on.
see that coming, did ya?
But it seems like
Aye.
about halfway through, you're
Watch his face.
totally allowed to lose that way.
You've done it.
Okay, you won already. Now buy me a drink.
Yeah, and then propagating the Irish being drunks. And the angle there on that out lane is just terrible.
Double.
So I'm gonna have to just assume that you're supposed to just move it back and forth. That doesn't seem right. I almost got an extra ball.
Get back in there, kid.
What does that really have to do with pinball, with boxing though? Nothing. So that's another thing to consider. They've expanded this theme to be yet another old-timey Western
Climb the stairs, kid.
themed table for no good reason. Notice how the ball blocker there is not a ball saver, so ball saver is still better. As we've gone over this whole journey, it does really show that there is some people that are just straight out of touch at this point as far as table designers, and it is a pretty elite small group of people, for better or worse. I'm sure there were some. Oh, you know what? You can cheat it by pressing the button twice in between and double jumping.
Flip, kid, flip.
Notice that the flippers in the bottom of the table are not flipping during that whole mess.
Ladies and gents, Knuckles O'Brien. O'Brien voices the kid.
Hello to ya. I'm O'Brien. You're gonna try your luck.
I honestly feel like for a table like this, I may spend 4 or 5 hours and never get past the 3rd or 4th person. There's not really an easy way to speed or get a lucky shot or sucker punch or anything like that.
Trying harder if you want to beat me.
The pegs there played against me. This might have been slightly interesting if this was kind of like Safecracker and it was your life bar energy that determined when the game ended instead of just 3 balls. That being said, I really can't recommend that to be the solution for a table like this.
Flip, kid, flip. Keep training, kid.
Ladies and gents, Knuckles O'Brien voices the kid.
This table,
Makes you think your look has changed, lad?
this table feels like it's also not very good with multiball. Because this would be the point where I feel like multiball would make sense. I'd like to see it be at least achievable, if not the default.
Now that's the fighting spirit.
Now thematically how a multiball plays into a boxing fight, you would just have to establish that the character you represent has fists moving so fast it looks like there's 3 of them.
All ones all locked up.
Yeah, and I basically have nothing to say. We've kind of seen everything that this table is going to show. We probably haven't seen everything this table could show. It's just everything else is going to center around major struggle. What I think would have helped is if there was actually a boxing ring idea shown, and then that way you would shoot across a horizontal wire to that upper boxing field, and that would cause the ball to be safely drained only in the corners and into like a sinkhole that would eject it. Instead of it just losing momentum and coming down the center lane shots. But yeah, we really have hit a level where the gimmicks are hurting the table more than they're helping. Like, there's not even too many missions here. You've got all of those, which all seem to start in that one shot, and then several other things that seem to start here. And apparently you'd have to get training complete, and then multiball complete. I can barely read this. Winner by knockout complete, and jackpot complete to then do pub champion. This menu does seem different. Well, I'm pressing enter and it's not doing anything. There we go. Let's check the feature adjustments and see what we've got. Flipper plungers, I think what we would need more than anything. Post difficulty set to medium. I think you could probably set that to easy, and that would probably move some posts around and or just make it easier some other way. There are posts that you can physically move if you take the table apart, and that makes a lot more sense than having electronic posts that could be moved left and right through a motor. It'd be ridiculous to kind of have that. Brawl difficulty, if I own this, I would turn down to easy. Fist difficulty, fight difficulty, hurry difficulty, just turn all that to easy. This might be a great table for little kids because they wouldn't know any better anyways. And like mini tables, you could just disable all the elements that are likely to break. Let's see. Heavy bag training fights. In order to activate ultimate challenge mode, you must become the pub champion. To become the pub champion, you must win 5 fights over the course of the game. To activate a fight, first earn the maximum of 12 life bars. Start each ball with 3, each game with 3. Primary way to earn life balls is training, so you're going to do training a lot. Blah, 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 blah. Getting a straight at poker night, video mode. Start a fight. Let's see, for the first fight, you'll take on the 9th ranked fighter. That's funny, because I feel like I took on the 10th ranked fighter. If you lose a fight, you'll take on that opponent again next time you activate a fight. When you win a fight, you're the next highest ranked fighter. This continues until you defeat the number 1 ranked fighter and become the champion. Once you become pub champion, all future fights become cash fights. Cash fights allow you to choose your opponent, wagering a number of your own points based on difficulty. Interesting. So theoretically, if you were really, really good at this game, you could accomplish a lot of stuff. One of the multiball modes is raid multiball. This activates automatically after you defeat the 3rd fighter. And then fisticuffs multiball. Collect all the letters in barfly fisticuffs. And then multi-brawl. Jackpots complete. What do we have to do for that? 15 jackpot levels over the course of the game. Then ultimate challenge. I don't know how you win by knockout yet. Let's see. Shoot the corner, left loop, right loop to activate ultimate challenge. Ultimate challenge is a 3-ball mode that is divided into 2 stages. Stage 1, called Pugilist Aplenty. Your goal is to defeat 5 consecutive fighters. What makes this challenging is that you don't get to train and earn life balls in between the fights. Each defeated fighter scores the purse value with a maximum of 2.5 million, plus 5 million for each fight, until you've defeated all 5 fighters. Defeating the 5 fighters completes stage 1. In stage 2, ultimate victory, all the major shots for the lit for victory laps of 5 million. Blah, 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 blah. Can be only activated once per game. So, win by knockout is the one I'm confused on. Well, I can't even find any instructions for it, and frankly, I don't care enough, so I'm just gonna hop in the game and we'll see if we can, with ball control, figure this out. So with ball control, can we go here? Yes. Can we go
Hurry up, kid.
up here?
Go, kid.
No.
Jab, kid.
We're just shadow boxing.
Hurry.
I don't like the curved ramps because it causes the ball to leave the table. Can't go up there.
Jab.
Hitting that does nothing.
Go, kid. Go, kid.
And there's nothing like hidden back behind here to hit. So it just loops around for no reason. And I can loop around there and hope to get enough momentum there. But honestly, this is about the only thing I can do.
Way to go! Keep training, kid.
Like you can hit that. We can try and spell this for new purse values. We could try and get the ball up high enough. But even there, doesn't seem like it's really doing it. So there's really no reason to even have the ball mode enabled, really. The ball control is completely useless on this table, way more than it is useless on most tables. So let's just play one more game, and then I just think I want to compare this to Theater of Magic. Now, in all fairness, I suppose a comparison to Theater of Magic will say that this has a little bit more free space on the table. I don't know where free space on the table really lines up as being desirable. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's just empty space for no good reason. This table does have some standing targets.
That's it. Keep training, kid.
I think you can really only cheat it about 3 times with the double jumps, and then you would have to speed up your process preemptively. Yeah, the whole lower playfield is empty for no reason, I would say, on this table. And a lot of the upper playfield's kind of empty too. It's got some ramps and things, sure. Just squeezing an upper playfield for the speed bag isn't super interesting, but it does do something different. We haven't seen that much, and compared to every other upper playfield we've seen on a table, or I've seen on a table, that's one is actually probably one of the least objectionable because it's not in the way.
Finish him off.
Trying harder if you want to beat me.
So I guess the 1, 2, 3, 4 is just the title. This feels like a table designed to swallow quarters too, where you could just buy extra balls.
That's ball one, slugger.
but you can't get the raid multiball. You just can't do it unless you defeat 3 guys. So it's so linear, the design of this table, that it just totally does not work as an actual pinball table.
And now, Knuckles O'Brien voices the kid.
I've been able to defeat Knuckles O'Brien once and move on to one other character. I'm supposed to be able to defeat 4 or 5 of them, minimum. You see that headshot didn't do anything. We do see lights are blinking in a loop, which makes me think that maybe if I did make those shots right when it was blinking, that might be a knockout. But obviously you have like a 1 in 5 chance of that working, and it hasn't worked once. Nor do I think I could just hold the ball and make it work. Alright, let's look at the leaderboards. I am suspecting, playing this on a Saturday, that at the end of the week here we have less than 50 people who have played this table. I could be wrong here. I'm seeing some very high scores in the billions. Where is my score? Ooh, well, I'm looking at all time, am I not? So, all time, I am at 29 million, which puts me at the 20,897th position, which seems fair enough. And the top scores we saw, when we go back to that, starts at like 13 billion and then quickly drops to down to 2 or 3 billion. So not the highest scoring table ever. Weekly wise, I'm at 49th position, and I feel like I did horrible. So yeah, to get back to what I was saying, well, I'm a little surprised to see that we're probably going to have 200 or 300 people playing this table. And maybe that's the gimmick of the table, or maybe this is just a table that's just not for me. And that's very possible. You have 221 playing this on a Saturday. Overall, 1.6 billion scores. And remember, if you can gamble your score, I could see where you could get up to 500 million, then gamble it 2 or 3 times and get very high. And then monthly, we're up to 4 billion, playing this on the 24th day of the month. And I'm the 163rd highest player for the month, which that seems like that is a little too high for the score. Yep. The thing I would say that Funhouse and Red and Ted's Roadshow both had with just having a head is that they could just squeeze a head into the rest of the table and have the rest of the table be its own thing. I think in particular Funhouse, if we can we look at the table? I don't think we can. Funhouse has the big clock at the center. It's got a whole shot on the right and left and pop-up bumpers. There's just like no pop-up bumpers in that whole fight, which arguably replace the figure with pop-up bumpers, or put pop-up bumpers or slingshots around the figure during the fight, and that would make a lot of sense, because then you could have had slingshots on the side forming a ring, and then the balls would get bounced around the slingshots all over the place. And then maybe you have sinkhole shots in the corners, and so you kind of trap the ball in that slingshotted area during a fight, and you bring down the ropes later when you're not in the fight. But yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff going on there. But also because it's just a head, it's not taking up that much space, and it gives a lot more personality than having 5 different enemies that you're fighting. But you don't really need any of that. You could have simulated the idea of boxing fairly easily. If anything, Red and Ted's here is the beginning of the same problem that happens with the contender, or whatever table we were just playing. I've forgotten the name already. Because it is taking up a lot of space just for those 2 gimmicks. And this table, while it has a lot going on as far as ramps and all, it really doesn't have that many shots. Where also, if we were to compare it, it was called the Champion Pub. And yeah, if we were to compare it to like Arabian Nights, you have one genie that's just kind of this flat character that you're fighting, but look at just how much is on the table elsewise besides the genie. It's telling a whole collection of different stories, whereas boxing as a theme does not easily allow for that.
The theater
awaits. Yeah, we have to once again say that the Champions Pub has no reason to be a boxing game set in the past with bare knuckle boxing, when it really should have been a rumble in the jungle like fight that happened.
Welcome to the theater of magic.
And see, I imagine if you had taken some of the greatest fights that had happened before 1989 and just add parody names of those, and taken some of the greatest fighters at the time and shown them off, that would have attracted boxing fans a lot more than the Champion Pub, which I'm sure did not attract a single boxing fan, because there wouldn't be any boxing fans alive that are interested in 1920s bare knuckle boxing. So it's just a dumb concept.
Tiger Saw.
Shoot for the captive ball. Excellent. Shoot for the captive ball.
I wanted to play Theater of Magic here. 1, because I like Theater of Magic, but 2, because there is a element here in the plastic chunk that shows off how you can have a much smaller toy and use it a lot better, because this box uses at least 3 out of the 4 sides to do something different and rotate. It is considerably smaller. It has a sneak in bonus in the back of it, where you can sneak in a ball. There's a lot of other stuff happening on the table. And I'm just playing, really, because I want to play. But yeah, this is also thematically way more kid-friendly, much larger audience. Even if you felt like Magic is just for little kids and it's stupid, which I'm sure plenty of people do feel that way, and certainly in the 80s that was a different era of Magic where it often was just for little kids and was stupid. This works way better than bare knuckle boxing from the 1920s. Yeah, if you were going to go with that theme in 2021, I think you have to go extreme and brutal. I think you have to have an LCD with a character like losing teeth and spitting out blood, and every shot needs to be this visceral, highly subwoofered body blow sound. You really would have to have like a ton of Foley and just make it feel like it's super extreme. Darn it. Yeah. Because at least then there would be something to it.
Please shoot again.
Right, are we gonna...
Amazing skill.
Wanted to start an illusion, but didn't.
Extra ball.
Even when, like, my experience of seeing boxing, like on Twilight Zone, for instance, which would be the 40s, 50s, 60s era, even then they were depicting boxing as being an incredibly brutal sport, not for the likes of a large majority of people. So it just doesn't have that appeal. And nowadays it would almost certainly be a UFC octagon themed table, and at least then there are more moves in a UFC fight. But yeah, I don't know how you make something, these kind of blood sports, more appealing. Like, you also have to consider the audience. People playing video games and pinball, typically not your standard blood sport fan. You might have the Halo Gamer Bros generation who are into like football, but that I don't think directly translates to them being into boxing or UFC. There is some argument that perhaps everybody should be forced to watch a UFC fight just to be reminded how truly brutal fights can be, because there is a romanticization of fights in video games and TV to make it seem like it's not that dangerous when it really is. I mean, you literally just have to accidentally push somebody over on a concrete street and they can hit their head and die. It's that easy. Like, you just never know. One blow can be the one blow that kills somebody. And people in boxing and other blood sports have literally died in the ring just because somebody got an awkward, lucky hit. Vanquish the chains.
The air pressure is building.
Hurry up.
There we go. And see that trunk escape, she was underwater and they didn't even really make that clear. So she's doing the old Houdini milk canister escape.
Shoot for the magic trunk.
And see, I'm doing pretty good on this table and having a lot more fun playing this table, just because I like the theme more. One of those says bonus 2x and the other says 2x bonus.
Magic. Lock is lit.
Go for the center loop.
The first ball is locked.
Safe escape.
Go for the center loop. The rope is breaking.
There is a bigger issue, I think, that I have with boxing and blood sports too, is that it circles around a just massive amount of poverty. Nobody who is middle class, upper class, is going to become a boxer without like some real other problems in their heads. And I think like Jake Paul might be the only example of somebody who was fairly successful becoming a boxer and starting out that route. Most people that are boxing, at least back in the day, were doing it for the money and risking their life and their body.
Shoot for the trunk.
And while by the time you are a professional boxer and you're getting Rumble in the Jungle type attention, you probably are fairly rich. You probably gambled or lost a lot of that money, but even if you didn't, you had been risking your life in all the training, practicing. Same is true for sports people. Professional football players have been risking their life and limb playing football for probably a decade before they ever get signed on with the NFL, if they ever get signed on with the NFL. It's just a lot of not only selling your time, but selling your mind. That traumatic brain injury is a real thing, and like any impact sport has a high chance of that causing lifelong damage.
The first ball is locked.
See, that's funny that there's that whole fall down the stairs secret move.
Shoot up the right staircase. You must concentrate.
He just wants me to go up the right staircase, which is not a shot I've done a lot of. But it seems like that's a fairly easy shot to hit. One of the things I really like about Theater of Magic too is the fact that you get fairly close to succeeding. And so yeah, I want to... It says quite a lot that after playing Championships Pub for less than an hour, I just went back and played more Theater of Magic. I would say I would prefer to play No Fear, because at least those are extreme sports people that aren't just beating each other in a blood sport. I would say I would much prefer to play Big Hurt, because at least that's an African American compared to that where there definitely should have been some African Americans in that game. Yeah, and I don't even remember Wipeouts, but I think I'd probably prefer to play that too. Or at least if you have something like Pistol Poker, which is just a cowboy game and kind of country, that would be fine too. I guess there's not much of a comparison to Pistol Poker. Well, anyways, there's no reason to really delay it any further. Next time we'll have Monster Bash, and then we will be done. And since this was 1998 as a table, very possibly the last Bally table, and very possibly The last time we have to mention Bally, as far as most of the tables being kind of bad. So this might be 1999, or this might be 1998, and there literally is no 1999 curated table, because that's where the crash is. And then we come into 2000 with Stern Pinball. And this would have been the era where Stern was kind of selling these tables directly to collectors more than anything. And it would be pretty much only Stern tables, I think, going forward. But then you also have some weirdness, like this table is labeled as the newest table, and it is in 2010. So they're taking 11 years I would say, to emulate old tables. So there's nothing really saying that they couldn't come back and add some more 90s eras or 80s eras or 70s eras or even 60s or earlier era tables if Pinball Arcade and FarSight Studios wanted to do that. I just don't think they're actually going to do that. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.